Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. Let me show you what we will be making in this video. From this, we go to this. And if you want to be fancy schmancy and you follow the same formula, you can even do this. So we'll talk about all the variations that you can do in this video, but let me show you exactly what this is. So we have a little journal that opens into a star, as you've seen. I wouldn't call it a journal, I would call it a Christmas star book, which by the way doesn't have to be Christmas themed. And I'll just show you what I did. This is all done in a tutorial. I have a pocket there, I have a little something there, a little something there, and then over here, you know, fun stuff, tags, all the fun stuff we like to do. Here again, more tags, more pockets, and of course we are doing everything step by step. What I love about this project is the fact that it looks so elaborate, complicated even, yet it's really simple concept. And just imagine having this on your shelf or gifting it to someone. You can have little photos in there, you can have, you know, money tucked into little pockets and stuff like that. You can have it hanging, you can have it sitting on a shelf, and then when Christmas time is over, you simply close it and contain it and keep it for next year. Let me show you how to make them. To make this project, you will need 3 different sizes of paper or cardstock: large, medium, and small. And you will need 6 pieces for each. 6 for each. The measurements that you see here are the measurements that I used for my book to create this one here. You can use absolutely any measurement that you want, as long as you have 3 different layers like this. That's what this is. It's just 3 different sizes. So I'm giving you measurements so you have something to go by, but you can absolutely make your own. You can make them much larger, you can make them much smaller, as long as you have 6 pieces of large size and 6 pieces of medium and 6 pieces of small. And it is quite important that the pieces match. So when you're cutting them down, whatever measurement you use, you know, you want them to be pretty much exact. Cut it, you know, exactly, as much as you can, especially for the biggest pieces. These smaller pieces, not so much of an issue, but these bigger pieces, try and get it exact. All right, so that's the first step. When you're doing that step, you might choose to add some variations. So let's say instead of having 6 pieces that are exactly the same of the smallest size, for example, I added some variations in. So I had 1 white, 1 green, white, green, white, green. So in my book, this is what I had happening. You can see here the smallest piece: white, green, white, green, and so on, right? You can have all different colors. You can have all different colors here. These don't have to be the same. These don't have to be the same. You can really have a whole lot of fun with this. Make it fun. This is what I'm sticking with. For my large, I'm going to have this beautiful Christmassy gold cardstock, and then I'll have some red, and then the variation of white and green. Another thing, another variation that you might want to use in your book. At the beginning, I said you need 3 different sizes. That's if you want to make the exact same book that I made. So here you can see that I have 3 different heights. And that way, when you make the book and you open the book, you can see the different papers. You can see the green, the red, and the gold, because they're all different heights, right? You might want to do something like this, right? This one is not decorated. And you can see here, all of my papers are exactly the same height. They're just narrower this way, but the height is exactly the same. So that's another thing you might want to think about when you're cutting your papers down. Do you want them tapering down and getting smaller and smaller, or do you want this kind of look? It really depends on what you prefer. So there we have it. This is what I'm going to work with. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I'm just trying to demonstrate not to get too hung up on these measurements, because there are many, you know, variations that you can add into this project, your own individuality. But the measurements are here if you want them. So my book has 6 points.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And that's why I have 6 pieces of each of this cardstock, right? You might choose to have only 5. You might choose to have 7. I don't know why I went with 6. I just kind of went with 6 pieces of paper, and that's what I did. Once you have your papers cut down, next thing you want to do is fold them all in half. When I'm folding my papers in half, especially the largest one, I'm really trying to make sure that they meet perfectly, because when you put your book together, if you have some pieces, you know, sticking out larger this way, not cut properly, it's going to be obvious once your book is put together. And that's only really goes for the largest pieces. The smaller pieces, not so much. Once they are all folded down, you can go ahead and fix any mistakes. So it's no big deal. Now that you have all of your papers sorted and folded, we can pop the largest and the medium aside. And now we're going to work on only these ones here. The smallest page is the page that is visible and the page that we decorate. As you can see here in Exhibit A, we are only decorating the smallest page and nothing happens to these back pages, right? So at this point, you grab your little pieces of paper and you start decorating away. You can put down pockets and stickers and messages, sentiments, all that sort of stuff. This is where you let your imagination run wild, and this is also where most time is spent in making this project. Everything else is really quick. When it comes to decorating, you know, you're thinking about what to place where, what you want to include. I just had a thought, you could just do little photo mats, and then you can have a photo book that opens up. That's a really great idea as well. So anyway, I just want to show you what I did, just to give you some further ideas, and I pretty much did almost the same as my first book. So all the thinking was already done, and then I just had to replicate. So for my very first page here, I created a little pocket here. These are stickers. This comes out of those, you know, 6x6 pads, and I just folded it down and created that little top border, I suppose you can say. And a sentiment here, and this little embellishment here, and then I glued down some sequin star shapes, right? Just glued them down, and that's all I did for that very first page. Next page, again, really simple. These are cutouts from scrapbook paper that I had. I only had a small piece of scrapbook paper, and it really, the beauty is not really coming across on video. It's quite at night when I turn the lights on, you can see all the sparkles. It looks really amazing. And these are all cutouts from books, because I don't have digitals and I don't use that sort of stuff, and I don't really buy things anymore. I'm just using up what I had, all Christmas themed, Christmas tree, Santa, Christmas festive. I'm sure you can read. So there you have it. That's that one. Next one, this I think must be my favorite one. Again, you know, I have those little sparkly stars there. You know, it adds to the whole Christmas theme. These are stickers that I popped down, and I kind of made it look like hanging, I don't know, like those, what are they called? Stockings, Christmas stockings. So these are just stickers that I glued down, and this is also cutouts from scrapbook paper. I had this in my stash. Somebody must have sent it to me, and you know, it's just little cutouts that, you guessed it, I cut out and glued them down, and that's it. That's that page. So even though it seems quite simple, it's this decorating stage that took me a little while, because I'm thinking about, where do I place the stars? You know what I mean? Let's keep going. This one here, I did a little flip down thing happening over here and made that into a pocket. So it's just a fun little element, I suppose. And I mean, I'm not sure how functional it is if this is sitting on your shelf, right? You have your star book, and then this thing opens up. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a fun element, but it just really depends on what you want to do with it, I suppose. But I mean, of course, I'm going to include little flip outs and flip downs. I mean, who can resist? And then over here, I was planning to do another flip down, but then I changed my mind. So instead of, I just flipped these two pieces apart. You can see I already made the both pieces, but then for this one here, I just simply flipped it and sewed it down and made two pockets. And I popped in some little tags. Again, this is like really beautiful gold sparkly Christmas type cardstock, but it's really it's not coming up in the video. When I turn the light on, you can see the sparkles. Like, that's what I'm talking about, you know? This whole thing just looks so much better at night. Look at that. So you can do so many fun things. You can do pull outs here, which I didn't do. You can do like little tabs that pull out here. Another thing that I was planning to do, but I didn't end up having enough pages, is clipping things for example, here I have little paper clips with stuff. You can have ribbons, you can have Christmas stars, all sorts of fun stuff. So then when the journal is sitting up, or the book rather, you have all of these little bits and pieces here. When it's closed, it looks amazing. Money tucked into the pockets, you know, if you're giving this as a gift. So many fun things you can do. Okay, and then on here again, let's get that light back on. Check that out. I mean, it's just so beautiful and sparkly. So what this is just 2 pockets. Beautiful, beautiful sparkly paper, which doesn't look sparkly at all in the video. And then I made that in 2 pockets. Both of them are kind of sewn around prior to gluing down. And then some little tags, little hanging star thing, just a bit of fun, right? And then for the last page, this is what I did on this one. All I want for Christmas is, and then I just glued down this joy. This is a cutout from a book. Over here I have this thing that says Christmas memories, and it kind of looks like he's looking through, you know, all I want for Christmas is look at all of my wishes, you know. I mean, I don't have that many wishes, but so anyway, this is kind of what I had in mind when I was making this little, what would you call it, a little spread, I guess. So that's all of the 6 done. In the journal, book that I already had made, you can see pretty much the same thing apart from the very last page. And here's that last page, and again, cut out from a book, and also a cutout from a book. Obviously, it's important to do the decorating step first before assembling your book because of the nature of the book. You can't come in and, you know, it will be really difficult to write in this because of the nature of the book again. And also, if you wanted to add any writings, sentiments, anything like that, little messages, that's what the pockets would be for. If you want this to be a writing journal, then again, that's what the pockets would be for. Instead of doing something like this, I would be adding lots of space to tuck things in, just space for tucking. And here comes the fun part, assembling the book. So we have our large, medium, and decorated small pages. I'm going to pop the medium and the decorated aside, and I'm going to start assembling the large pages. So first thing I want to do is, you know, when they're stacked all together, this is what I was talking about before. Look at your edges. It doesn't have to be absolute perfection. And you can see mine here. I think this is the culprit. You can see, you know, it's not perfect. There's a little bit of edge there. I'm just going to quickly decide what I want to do. And I've decided just to trim it down just a tiny little bit there. That part that's sticking out. All right, here we go. So I've just trimmed it down a little bit. I mean, it's only important with the first ones, and it's not even as important as I'm making it out to be. So don't stress too much. All right. First thing I'm going to do, totally optional, and I'm doing it because this is stark white paper on the outside. I'm just going to ink the edges. So you can see here, stark white and inked edges, and I really think I prefer the inked edges look. So I'm quickly going to do that, and then we'll start with the assembling. And here we go, the edges are inked, and now we can start assembling. And the way that that happens is you start attaching them to each other like this. And when you get to the end, you don't attach the last 2 together. So that's the quick explanation. So the way that I do the attaching is, first I do use double-sided tape, and I pop double-sided tape across the 3 sides. Okay, here you can see I've popped double-sided tape on just those 3 sides, and I'm leaving the spine. I'm not putting any double-sided tape on the spine. And I'll tell you why, just in case if you're wondering. On the very first, this is my prototype. And when I did this one, I put double-sided tape on all 4 corners. And what I found, even though there's absolutely nothing in this book, there's nothing to make it really chunky, there's a whole lot of stress on the spine, and you can't see. You can't actually see. Oh, you can here. You see that double-sided tape? Because there's a lot of stress there, the book wants to open, okay, at the spine, and you can see all this ugly double-sided tape. And that's another point I wanted to make. When I'm applying double-sided tape, sorry, you can see all the dust and everything, I'm not going all the way to the edge of the spine. We're leaving a little bit of space here. And the reason why we're doing that is so that it's not visible at the spine. All right, so another thing that I believe is quite important is once I've applied the double-sided tape and removed the backing, I go ahead and I apply glue. And the reason why I do this is that when I'm attaching them together, if I was to go ahead and pop this on top, if I put it on wrong, it's going to be a nightmare trying to unpeel because that double-sided tape is really sticky. But when you have a wet glue over the top, you can reposition, you can move things in place, right? And also, double-sided tape isn't a very reliable glue, right? A long term. So, and then I also apply my glue in here, but not very close to the spine. I'll leave this whole section here untouched. Now I grab my next piece. You want the spines together and very carefully, oh, I don't know why I'm saying very carefully. Let's get closer. You know, I'm sure that when you're crafting, you kind of look at these things, but I want my cards to be aligned, okay? So you can see I've put it down and look at this. I can move it around because I have that glue, okay? If it was only double-sided tape, you put it down and you stuck with wherever you put it down. This is what we have so far. And also, before I kind of go crazy and like really seal them together, I like to check the spine. You know, are the spines aligned? The spine is quite important. So that looks pretty good, beautifully aligned. All right. Now we're going to repeat the process. I might even stay a little bit further away from the spine, but I want to come quite close up to the top with that double-sided tape. You know, I'm quite close, not all the way up to the top, because then little dust particles and all sorts of stuff will get stuck to the edge of that double-sided tape, which is exactly what you're seeing here when I'm peeling this layer off. All of those dust particles that kind of get stuck to the edge. Now we apply the glue. Probably going a bit overboard with the glue here. Grab my next card, make sure the spines, you know, don't want to place it down the wrong way, and then align the corners up here, and then align the corners here, and then maneuver it in place until it's where I want it to be. That spine's looking quite good, you see. And now we keep repeating. So this is what we have so far, the start of our star book, and we just keep on adding our pages. You might even choose not to cover this middle section with glue, and then that can be like little pockets. So if you only have the 3 sides glued, you know, if you're not gluing that middle section like I did, this would all be kind of little pockets, and then you can have little pull out tabs, little tags, I don't know. Here we go. What do we have? The very last 2 pages you don't glue together, of course, because then you won't be able to close your book. All right, so while we're waiting for this to dry slightly, you're going to grab your next sized paper, your medium sized. And by the way, another thing that you can do is skip this altogether. You can have just 2 sizes, and then you would have something that looks like this. Instead of having 3 points here, you only have 2. So you can just do something like this, right? You can just go ahead and do that and skip this altogether. So that's another thing that you can do. Okay, we'll let that dry, and now we need to prepare the middle paper. So all we're going to do with the middle paper is apply double-sided tape just to the edges here and here. So only on those 2 sides that open. All right, so just like that, and do that on all of your cards. Here we go, and that's ready to go. And you know what? While you're at it, grab your small pieces and do the same. So again, we're doing it on the, what's it called, shorter edge. Now with this one, I just wanted to mention, don't apply thick double-sided tape like this one, way too thick. Try and get a thin double-sided tape, or just use a line of glue. Because when you look at this here, when you open this, you don't want these edges to be glued down completely like that. Because then, for example, if you have thick double-sided tape, right, that's going to be happening. So thin double-sided tape, or just a line of glue. At this point, we have our book here. we have our double-sided tape added to all of our other pieces of card, and now we have to glue this to this and this to this. So we're going to start off with gluing these to our book. So the way that I do this, I grab my first piece and I just remove one side of the double-sided tape. I'm not touching this side yet. I also, again, like to add a little bit of glue right there at the edge. And again, this is going to allow me to maneuver and reposition if I must. And here we go. I'm gluing this side over here. And I'm leaving about, let's see how much I'm going to leave. So I'm centering it here so it has the exact amount on top and bottom. And then I'm leaving about this much space. That's about 1 centimeter, I guess. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter. You don't want to leave too much space. You don't want to have not enough space, just approximately that much space, I suppose. But the secret is to have the exact same amount of space on this side as well. Approximately, right? So now we remove this double-sided tape, apply a little bit of glue, and glue it down at approximately the same amount of distance from the edge. So this is what we have so far. It's just approximately the same on this side and this side. And if you close your book, you will kind of be able to see if they're evenly spaced. And if they're not, it will probably move into place. So just make sure that you don't have any glue seeping out. And here we go. So that's the first page done. All right, I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to speed up this whole process. And onto the next page it goes at approximately the same distance. That looks about right. And now repeat on the other side. And here we go. That looks about right. Let's have a look when the book closes. Yep, it's all nice and evenly spaced. And now repeat with the rest of your pages. And here we go. This is what we have so far. This glue is not dried yet. If I wasn't filming, I would let this dry completely, but I'm just going to keep going. That's what we have. They're all evenly spaced from the edge, and you can see that because all of these are kind of in the same, you know, level. Here's a little bit closer. I mean, this one here seems a little bit further in, so there's quite a bit of room for error, which is why you don't have to worry about too much, you know, what the exact measurement is and where you have to place it. It's just approximate. So now, you guessed it, the next thing we need to do is pretty much exactly the same thing with our decorated pages. So make sure you have them in order that you want. And we are repeating exactly the same process. We're only placing this on the red paper, and again we're just doing approximate. That looks about right. Perfect. And the same on the other side. There's our first page, and now we just keep repeating. Make sure they're all facing the same way, the right way up. And this is also the reason why you don't remove the backing of both of the double-sided tapes at the same time, because if you did do that while you're gluing this one down, this one's gonna get, you know, stuck where it shouldn't be. So just do it one at a time. Here we go. That's looking pretty good. And now just repeat until you get to the very end. All right, and there we have it. All glued down. The glue is not dried yet, but I just wanted to show you how it's all kind of in line, all of the little edges, and there we have it. Pretty cool. Okay, so now we can finish it off. Pop a little closure on here. You can see that it's chunky, and you can see the edges there of that double-sided tape. You can see that. Okay, so that is going to be hidden once I finish with everything, because as I did here, you can see we'll be adding this little closure, and that will keep the spine contained. Okay, it's not gonna kind of keep opening. But of course, if you opted to go with the option of having those pull-out tabs and having those pockets there, then you wouldn't be doing this step that I'm going to do next, which is adding the closure. So I'm using this beautiful red and gold ribbon something nice and flat, any type of ribbon will do. And I'm just going to measure approximately how much I need. I might give myself a little bit extra than needed on both sides. So I'm going to wrap it around like this and cut that off. And this is going to be my closure. So now I'm going to pop it kind of somewhere so I have an even amount on both sides like that. And I'm going to apply a little bit of double-sided tape, but I want the closure right in the middle. So I'm just going to check where my middle is. I mean, you can eyeball this, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want it perfect. So I found the very middle, and that's where my double-sided tape is going to go, right there in the middle. I'm not going all the way to the edge, as you can see, just a little bit of double-sided tape, and it's just going to hold this in place for now. Excellent. Now going over to the back, repeat the process. And now to contain that spine, as I was saying before, I'm going to pull the ribbon tight. And if I did it perfectly in the center, the two ribbon pieces should align over here. So you can see I'm containing the spine. I could perhaps pull it even tighter. That's looking pretty good. And now we want to finish this off, and all we need to do to finish it off is to cover the front panel and the back panel, and you can go as elaborate as you want or as simple as you want. What I did for my first journal, this is scrapbook paper and it's felt. Some of these pieces are felt and just feels so beautiful under the hand. It's not coming across on the video, and I just left it at that because it just seems really nice. And also same thing at the back. For this journal I prepared this little piece. So again, scrapbook paper down the bottom. This is a cutout from a Christmas greeting card, and then I just glued some pieces down. And the reason why I wanted this smack bang in the center is because I knew that I had this piece right there in the center. When you're cutting your piece down, cut it down leaving a tiny little border all around. So don't go, you know, all the way to the edge, because then there might be problems with lifting. All right, and before I glue that down, I want to just apply a little bit more double-sided tape over the top of this ribbon here. Maybe I'll just pop a little bit of glue. I don't want any glue seeping out. Bit of glue there, bit of glue all over, why not, you know, go for it. And this is the most important part. I'm applying glue onto this front piece, and I really want to get all the way to the edges and all over. I'm just spreading that glue just so there's no seepage. I mean, it will seep a little bit when I put it down, but okay, I will fix that up. And now this goes right on top and glue it down. Easy. Okay, that's my front cover. And now going to the back, just using a piece of that scrapbook paper, and I've sewn around, you know, trimmed it down to size, of course. So first, again, I want to apply a little bit of double-sided tape to hold this in place. Also applying glue under the ribbon here because, you know, you don't want that lifting. And then all over this piece. Okay, and down it goes. And there it is. Front, back, spine. I could have contained that spine a little bit more, could have made that ribbon a little bit tighter, but that doesn't really matter in all honesty. And the ribbon, you can see the ribbon there, and there's our little book. Quite a lot of fun. And then of course it can sit on the shelf like that. I mean, it can even hang, you know, it can hang by the ribbons. And then when Christmas time is over, you simply close it, you tie a little bow here and store it away until next Christmas. Let's see what would happen if you had 12 instead of 6. You could do a massive one like this. You could do 12 pages of each of the sizes, right? You can do as many as you want, really. Look how cool that looks. Ooh, so much fun. What would happen if you had 4? That would look like that. I think it seems like 6 is the minimum, and then you can go as many as you want. Pretty cool. What I personally love about this project is that it can go so many different ways, and you can have so many different variations and different things that you can do with this type of thing. And the second thing that I love about this project is the fact that it really looks so elaborate, especially to someone who hasn't seen this kind of thing before or isn't into paper crafting, I guess, it looks so elaborate, yet it's really simple to do. Really simple process, yet quite an effective, beautiful end product. I love it. Let me know what you think. Will you be making this? Have you made it before? What are your variations if you have made it before? What did you do differently to what I did today? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!